When we think about health inputs, our minds tend to go to food, water, and sleep, but we still often overlook one of the most fundamental ones, our environment, specifically the natural world. What if time spent in nature isn't just a nice to have, but a non-negotiable biological input? Our metabolism, immune system, and brain are evolutionarily primed to expect. This reflection feels deeply personal, but it is also a shared memory for many of us. I remember as an anxious child not having the words for the profound shift that hours outside would bring, whether in the woods, by the river, or helping grandparents in the garden. The mental static would quiet, my mood would lift, appetite improved, and sleep came more easily. It was a reset button we could rely on, almost without thinking. Back then, spending large chunks of time outside was just what kids did. It makes you wonder, in today's world, where statistics paint a rather depressing picture of how much time we now spend indoors, have we unintentionally sidelined one of the most accessible forms of reset for ourselves and our children? That feeling wasn't just a fleeting mood. We now have more evidence to suggest it was the signal of a deep biological recalibration our bodies might be literally built to expect. The science now confirms this on a larger scale. A 2018 systematic review and meta-analysis of 143 studies found that exposure to green space is consistently linked to tangible physical changes, statistically significant reductions in diastolic blood pressure, stress hormone cortisol, and heart rate. It's even associated with a lower incidence of diabetes and a decrease in all-cause and cardiovascular mortality. This isn't just a correlation, but this field of research containing many experimental studies that control for various factors and in some cases are able to evidence causality, it really is turning into a measurable biological signal. Perhaps one of the most profound mechanisms is how nature directly trains our immune system. The research on forest bathing shows that phytoncides, aromatic compounds released by trees, can act as a powerful input. Studies show that a few days in the forest can increase the activity of our natural killer cells by 50% or more. These cells are crucial for fighting viruses and cancer surveillance. And this isn't just a fleeting change. The improvements in immune function can last for over a week. It's like nature provides a kind of a reset for our immune system, bringing it back to its more resilient, grounded state. The protective effects of this input appear to be crucial in childhood, acting as a buffer that shapes lifelong mental health. A landmark study of over 900,000 people in Denmark found that children with the least access to green space had up to a 55% higher risk of developing a psychiatric disorder later in life. The data suggests early childhood may be a sensitive period where this input is critical for building a resilient brain, helping to reduce internalizing symptoms like anxiety and depression. And then there is the sun, an input we sometimes avoid. While caution is wise, consistent, non-burning exposure is vital. A striking 20-year Swedish study found that women who consistently avoided the sun had a mortality risk double that of those with the highest sun exposure, a risk comparable to smoking. Sunlight is a key signal for vitamin D synthesis, the release of nitric oxide for cardiovascular health, and the alignment of our circadian rhythms. Avoiding it entirely deprives our body of a fundamental regulatory signal. So why does something as simple as being outside make such a difference? It turns out it might work in several ways. Researchers hypothesize it encourages us to move our bodies and helps us connect with others, which is a deep human need. The sunlight helps regulate our mood and sleep. It's the simple fact that air pollution is often up to 5 times worse indoors, and that spending time outside could be protective against childhood myopia. And perhaps most fascinatingly, exposure to the diverse microbes in nature could help educate our immune system, teaching it to respond appropriately instead of overreacting. It's likely a combination of these layers working together that could make time in nature so restorative. This can feel daunting if life keeps you indoors. But the beautiful thing is that the dose doesn't have to be extreme. Research shows that even smaller inputs can trigger a positive response. And when you cannot go outside but want to feel better, a real plant on your desk or even looking at a photo of a forest could help calm brainwave activity and reduce stress. As one researcher put it, every bit seems to help. So this is an invitation to reframe. It's not about immediately moving to the countryside. It's about recognizing that our biology is wired for a world rich in specific sensory data. The smell of soil, the dappled light through leaves, the vast horizon. In our modern indoor lives, we have created a data famine for our own selves. Reconnecting, even in small ways, isn't a retreat. It's a homecoming for our physiology. We would love to know what's a small, specific way you could invite a little bit more of this natural input into your or your family's life.